Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel. My super shaker soil sifter finally destroyed itself. Anyway, I'll bring the camera in a little closer. I've got the deck off of it. The shaker's over there, but I got the deck laying down here on the ground. I'll bring the camera in closer and show you where it broke at. I only had an offset weight on one side of this thing. I didn't put one on both sides because having a weight on one side was just enough. It did shake more on this side than it did on that side because the weight was over here, but I mean it did all right like it was, so I just left it like that. Anyhow, I'm gonna build a new one of these. This one right here was only 5 feet wide because my bucket's only a 60-inch bucket, so I made this 5 foot, and when I built it, I should have built it a little bit bigger than that. The base of this shaker is 6 foot, so this time I'm gonna build this top frame. I'm gonna build it 6 foot, so it's gonna be 6 by 4. And it's going to be made out of a little bit heavier metal. I hope I didn't get too heavy of a metal, but I won't know until after it's all together and I test it out. Alright, so let's take a look at how this thing's going to go together. We made these two pieces right here. That is going to house the spring. The spring's going to go down in there like that. And there's going to be another one up at the top. And this is going to get welded to this angle iron. And the reason I'm doing this is to keep this spring centered and keep the bolt that's going down through here hopefully from eating through this metal. Okay, but I also need it to be taller. I need more distance between here and here, so I built this, 2 of these. They're going to go inside of there. The spring's going to set on it, and then there's going to be another one up at the top, and that's going to raise this whole thing up about 1 inch. So maybe 1.5 inches. I can't remember. I think this was 3/4 of an inch. Each one of these 3/4 thick. So that would be 1.5 inches higher than the length of the spring. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on here. I'm going to put this on here, and this is just to get this thing lined up and welded in place fairly straight. It's not going to be, you know, within a few thousandths or a few hundred thousandths, but you know, it'll probably be within 100 thousandths. Okay, and that's going to go on top of there, and then we're going to use our centering cone. This is the centering cone that we was machining. That's going to go down in there, and that's going to center this on this, and then we'll put a nut on here. And hear Copper talking in the background. Copper ate some Xanax today. The doctor gave me a prescription for Xanax for my anxiety, because my anxiety's been so bad lately. I went and picked it up and set it on the console, went in the store, another store, came back out, then took him to the park to walk. And when we came back from the walk, I went to put him back in the back seat, and there was my prescription bottle tore all to pieces and pills all over the back seat. And, oh man, what a mess. Anyway, so enough story time. This is going to tighten down against there. That's going to hold that snug down against there. And now we're just going to weld this. You know, we're going to tack it over here, maybe tack it right there. Just enough to hold it in place, keep it from walking around. Then we're going to take this apart, and we're going to move it to the top, and we're going to weld that one in place, and we're going to go all the way around this thing. Then after they're welded in place, we'll come back, and we'll raise this up, we'll set this down in there, and we'll set the top down on here, and then we'll run a long piece of rod, threaded, either a bolt or a threaded rod or something from here all the way down through this and out the bottom and nut it up tight. Let's get the welding machine fired up. And there we go. There you go. And the piece that's gonna hold it up, it's still in there. So it's gonna sit on there, and then we're gonna do one on the top. And then theoretically, if all my measurements come out right, the top and the bottom will be lined up. Everything will be centered and go all the way around this thing. We've got a ways to go because we're going to do one here, one here, one here, and one over here. So we're going to have 4 on this side, I think. That's the plan. 4 on this side. We got these 2 in already over here. We're going to have 4 over here on this side. And we've got these 2 over here already in. Alright, so we got all these cups, I call them, welded in place. And I know probably one of the questions that everybody's going to ask is, where did you get those springs from? Now, I could have ordered springs online or whatever, but I'm a want to feel it, touch it, sniff it, you know, before I buy it kind of guy. So if I can find something that I can use locally, that's what I do. So I picked up these springs at my local big box store, Lowe's Home Improvement. So if you have a Lowe's near you, probably have them at Menards and other places as well. But this is a porch swing spring. And it's got a H number, whatever that means, 543001, a 1 9/16 by 7 1/4 inch. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not, but that's the label on it. Anyway, this is how they come. And they're actually for when you hang a swing on your porch, you connect here and here, and that is what gives it a little bit of bounce. I'll take these out. Like that. And then it's going to go in there. Get this all on. Oops. So these right here, they just come right out. And then I just gonna use the spring. So we got one of these down in there. We're gonna put one up in here. We're gonna put that in there like that, and then we're gonna do the same thing over here. We've already got one in there. We need one up there. Just like that, and then we'll let the jack down. Okay, so now we got all 4 of these in. And now we're just going to feed some threaded rod right down through there like that. I'm going to whack it off. We'll put a nut on each end. And I bought some nylon locking nuts, and that's probably what I'm going to put on here. So yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is go around and cut a bunch of this threaded rod. It was cheaper to just buy threaded rod than it would be to buy bolts. You know, it probably should be grade 8 bolts, but I mean, I had threaded rod on the other one, and it held up a long time, a real long time, because, you know, it just recently kind of self-destructed, and it did wear on the threaded. I mean, you can see, I don't know if it's showing up in the camera or not, but you can see right there where it wore on that threaded rod that was in there. So I'm not going to reuse this, I'm just going to replace it. Anyway, let's get on with it. See if we can get this thing going. All right, so we've got the shaft mounted in place now. Did a little different than what it was before. Before we had a pillow block bearing on each end, and we had one counterweight which provided the vibration. Initially I ran it with no counterweight at all when I was doing the rock, and the rock went through the whole thing with no counterweight, and then I added a counterweight on this end. Just on the other side of the frame, I just let the shaft out long, put a counterweight on there. It's exactly same size counterweight as what I have on here now. And that consists of, I believe this is 1.25 inches. I'm sorry, about 1.5 to 1.75 inches wide, 3 inches long, and 3/4 inch thick stock, with a 1-inch hole bored through offset on one end. This time I made 2 of those, and instead of putting them on the end, I put them towards the middle, and I added 2 additional pillow block bearings here and here. So now we have 4 pillow block bearings, one on each end, and then we divided the space up equally, added 2 more pillow block bearings, and then we put the 2 counterweights to give it the vibration towards the middle. I'm hoping that this will make it vibrate more evenly across the whole spectrum of the thing. Before, when it was just on that end, it vibrated more on this side than this side, and this is the side that disintegrated. It just self-destructed. So I will try to bring the camera in and maybe get some footage of what this shaft looks like in here. This is a 1-inch shaft, 4 pillow block bearings, 2 counterweights in the middle to give us the vibration. These pillow block bearings were pretty cheap. They are greasable. We're going to throw some grease in there now. And I bought new screen to go on the top, but I haven't made up my mind exactly if I'm going to fasten the screen down on here permanently, or if I'm going to make the screen so that it is easily removable. I just haven't made up my mind yet. That's something that I'm going to have to think about. Anyway, let's get the grease gun and throw some grease in these bearings. I'm not sure if they come pre-greased or not, but the other ones that I had on here, I never greased them ever, and the bearing on this end had disintegrated. It didn't even have a ball left in it. Anyway, all right, let's get on with it. Well, there you go. We got it made so that I can just drive in here, pick it up with the tractor and change out these screens. So I got this same type of screen that I had on here before, on the old one, and then I built what they call a grizzly, which is just long, narrow slats, a little bit wider than what this will let through, and that's for doing like big stuff, getting big stuff out. I got a bunch of stuff over here in this big pile of leaves. It's got a bunch of sticks and whatnot in it, and I was thinking I'd run that through that grizzly and see how it does. I don't know how it's gonna do, but we'll see. Now this material is pretty wet because we've had a bunch of rain, and so it's really wet. It's super wet. I could probably raise this deck up a little bit, maybe one more notch up, and that would speed things up. But it's sifting really good. The entire unit the ground is not level right here. It's kind of tilted this way. So since it's tilted this way, we could go up with the deck a little bit more, maybe another notch. I may do that. I may go ahead and take this deck up. one more notch. The ground right here is kind of sloped like that just a little bit, so and you kind of see what I'm talking about. When it's on 35 degrees, it will come down a lot faster off of there. We're probably still only at about 24, 25 degrees right there. And this material is really wet. I mean, you can see how clunky, you can see how wet that is. Look at that. You can make a clay ball out of that damn thing. It's real wet. All right, so I just wanted to show real quick. I moved those counterweights. I had them originally on the inside in between these two inner pillow block bearings, and he just shook this thing too much. Can it shake too much? Probably not, but these two inner pillow block bearings are mounted at the weakest part of the entire framing structure that holds the top grate, and with the weights right here vibrating on these two pillow block bearings, it was going to cause it to self-destruct pretty quick, in my opinion. So I moved them out here closer to the outer pillar block bearings, probably about 6 inches in from the outer pillar block bearings, and mounted the counterweights right there, and they're not out of sequence, they're in sequence together, so they're not 180 degrees out. Both of them are going in the same direction, and my theory behind that is that will keep it from going up and down and not twisting, like, you know. I'm thinking if it was 180 out, it might cause it to twist as opposed to just go up and down. And up and down is more what I'm looking for, because I think twisting is going to be more self-destructive. Just what I'm thinking in my mind. Just sharing that with you so you'll know where I'm at. A couple other things I did. I changed out the lift arms that holds this platform in place. I had a bar that went up and all the way over and down the other side. I changed that out with 2 separate bars that are adjustable. They got a bunch of holes in there so we can raise this thing up to wherever we need it. Couple of things. On the back side, I added 2 kickstands, if you want to call them that, because when this thing gets full of dirt and you drive into here to get a bucket full, it comes up and it pushes pressure on here, and because this thing's got so much weight on the top, it was top heavy before, and it's really top heavy now. And the way it was before, I actually flipped the whole machine over, scooping a pile of dirt out of it. So I added these kickstands on the side, and hopefully now when I pull in here, if it goes to tip over, those kickstands will kick in and prevent this thing from flipping over, because we don't want that to happen. Also, is there something that I would do differently if I was building this thing from scratch all over again? I probably would not have this tall to here. The measurement from the ground to the lowest point of the deck would be maybe possibly a foot lower, maybe even a little bit more. I wanted elevated height so that I could have a lot of material in here before I had to start taking it out and moving it somewhere else, because a lot of times I'll be loading this with the grapple and unloading it out of here with the bucket. So that's why I was trying to run as much material through here as I could, and then change to the bucket and remove it out of here to where I want to store it at. But with it this high, it's 4 foot from the ground to here. It's 4 foot high, 1 sheet of plywood. With it that high, I'm limited as to the angle I can put this deck on and still load from this side, because it gets so high that the tractor will not go over it. So I either have to do one of two things. I either have to sink this in the ground, 6 or 12 inches, or build a ramp out here to drive the tractor up on and be able to get it up over top of this thing. Either one of those is an option. I'm thinking putting a ramp right here for when I'm loading, something that I can easily pick up with the tractor and move it out of the way, so that as I'm loading stuff on the deck, I can put the ramp here and I can elevate this thing up at a steeper slope I've seen where guys have talked about 35 degrees being the ultimate place to put this at. I'm really not that sure. It really depends on what you're running through it and how long you want it to set up here and vibrate. Because, you know, if you put it on a real heavy angle, say you put it at 45 degrees, you throw the stuff up there, it's going to be running off quick. Yeah, you're going to get some stuff through here, but there's going to be a lot of material left in there, and you're going to have to be running that back through over and over and over and over and over again. And I just soon set it up here and just let the machine run and do its thing until it just shakes everything it's going to shake out of it. And you know, if I have to get on the back side with the loader and lift it on the screen and move it around, then I can do that. And I can always, you know, bring the frame bucket right here and raise this up while it's running. I've done that. So, you know, the way it's set up with the dual belts, you know, and the idler pulley, I can raise this up while the machine's running to clear the deck off if I have to. But anyway, these are just some things that I wanted to show. Little changes that I made and what I might possibly do different if I was rebuilding this whole thing all over again. Maybe make it a little bit shorter. I don't know. It's hard to say. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging in here and watching. I know it's been probably a long video. If I add this to the end of the other videos, that's going to be a really long video. This may end up being a video all of its own. So we'll just have to see. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a great day.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.